Hey guys, I watched a couple of really interesting docudramas yesterday about a true crime case that's been in the news actually for many years. And I thought it was interesting because the murder victim was obviously dead, right? But the major networks produced docudramas that actually said bad things about the murder victim. No kidding. She was dead. She can't defend herself. Obviously, they're slandering her. Obviously, they're committing defamation. Obviously, any books written about the case are libelous, of course, because she's dead and she can't defend herself, right? In the docudramas, the people who were interviewed spoke freely of their opinions of the murder victim. One of her husband's best friends said she wasn't a nice person. And he said in his interview that somebody said to him one time that he shouldn't be talking bad about a dead person. And he responded, "Since when do you gotta speak nice about the dead?" Another person who was interviewed called the murder victim obsessed. Now, come on, that's just not fair because she's dead. So she can't defend herself. Another person who was interviewed said that she had a troubled childhood. That her home environment was not a good one. And that's just not fair because she's dead. She can't defend herself or her family. Another person said that she was very neglected by her parents, and that's just wrong because she's dead and she can't defend herself or her parents. Another person actually said she was a good wife and mother and that she was always in touch, that she never forgot a holiday or a birthday, and that she was a big part of everybody's life. And then another person who was interviewed said that she was a grifter. That's just wrong, you guys, because she's dead and she can't defend herself. Another person said she was a scam artist. I don't understand. Why are the major networks allowing people to commit slander right on their shows? Because she's dead. She can't defend herself from people calling her a scam artist. Another person said that the dead woman tried a career and failed and tried another career and failed and then decided she would marry it instead. I mean, that's just wrong because she's dead and she can't defend herself. So how dare he say that about her? Because she's dead, Another person said that when she met her future husband that she assured him she wouldn't be able to get pregnant. She assured him she was on the pill. And then she got pregnant. But evidently she was sleeping with a couple of different people at the time, so she had to take some time to decide which guy she wanted to snag. And she picked the younger guy. to claim that he was the father of her baby. But then the older guy had a paternity test ran, and they learned that actually the older guy was the father of the baby. So the older guy decided to marry her and make an honest woman out of her. And one of the people who they interviewed for one of the docudramas said, but the problem is there is no making an honest woman out of her. Can you believe it? She's dead. She's a murder victim. And these major networks are allowing people to slander her like that because she's dead. She can't defend herself. Another person spoke of the scams that she pulled and all the money that she made off of her scams. And another person even said that they think she had been arrested in the past related to an identity theft charge. Now, I think that's just wrong because she's dead. So what does it matter anyway? I think that whoever said that must be in love with her husband. I think whoever said that must be jealous of her. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right because she's dead. So what does it matter if she had some sort of arrest for some identity theft charge? Why are they bashing her? At one point in her life, she decided to move across the country. People in the documentaries who were interviewed were wondering if maybe she was trying to kind of, run away from it all, get away from where people may have been trying to find her. Interesting, huh? One person they interviewed said that before she dated men, that she actually checked out their assets first. Isn't that interesting? But it's really not fair for them to say that because she's dead. Really, I think the person who said that about checking out the assets and stuff, in fact, there were a couple of them, I think they both just want to be with her husband. And she was so beautiful. I bet they're jealous of her, even though she's dead. I'm still surprised that the major networks allow people to slander a dead woman. That's surprising. Because you've never seen that before, right? I mean, nobody has ever talked about a murder victim's life before they were killed, right? Well, the guy who did marry her to try to make an honest woman out of her, even though the people interviewed said there's no making an honest woman out of her, he soon expressed concern about people from her past trying to find her. But even to make that statement is really rude because she's dead and she can't defend herself. Well, her husband soon wanted a divorce, and people who were interviewed said he didn't want to have to pay for support. And one of the people who was interviewed said he didn't want to have to see her face anymore. Isn't that just terribly cruel? I mean, she was so beautiful, and she was such a good wife and such a good mother. And she was so hardworking, and she was so successful. And now listen to how they're talking about her. It's just wrong because she's dead and she can't defend herself. So why are the major networks allowing people to slander her? I hope they get sued. I hope they all get sued because they're all committing slander because obviously they're jealous of her. And obviously, they're in love with her husband. I bet when he was in jail, I bet you they were writing him letters. They were probably sending her husband naked pictures of themselves, I'll bet you. I don't know, you guys. I'm really disappointed because I just am so shocked that the major networks would allow so many slanderous comments to be included in their documentaries. They even let people say that there were thousands of people, probably, who she ripped off. That's just not fair to say that about her because she was pretty. And she's dead. People who were interviewed said that there were a lot of people who realized that she had been screwing them all along. People who were interviewed in the documentary said that there were many people who were defrauded by her. I think that's just so wrong. So what? So what? So what if she was a maybe misunderstood person? So what? They have no right to say that she defrauded anybody because she's dead. And you just know they're just saying it because they're just so jealous of her. I think you get my point, right? Since when, seriously, since when do people get attacked for simply discussing a true crime case? Well, I'll tell you since when. Since the case of Christopher Watts hit the news. And in the first couple of weeks, people were talking on social media about how they did not believe that Christopher Watts murdered his children. And evidently, there was a very small group of people who organized their efforts to control the narrative on the case. Because evidently there was a very small group of people who didn't want to hear that so many people discussing the case on social media actually believed that Christopher Watts was telling the truth in his police interview when he said that his wife murdered their children. Did this small group, which was organized to attempt to control the narrative on this case, join in the discussion? No. They started doxing and harassing and attacking people who were discussing the case in their effort to actually shut down the discussion. They have committed slander. They have committed libel. They have committed IIED. They have committed defamation. They have committed harassment and bullying and filing false police reports. They have been the ones doxing their victims and then feigning concern that they're being doxed themselves. They say they're being harassed. Baloney. They're the ones doing the harassing. They make phone calls to family members and to friends. They make phone calls to employers. They post false reviews on professional websites. And they post false ads for sex talk on Craigslist using their victims' phone numbers and names. They lie and they lie and they lie some more, and they threaten and they continue to harass and to dox and to spend 20 hours each day attacking innocent people for simply discussing a true crime case on social media. It's interesting that they call themselves victim advocates and feign some sort of love and admiration for the quote-unquote victim in the case. Well, if they're so hell-bent on protecting the image of a murder victim, then why is it that this is the only case they're concerned with? Are they contacting the major networks and threatening to sue them for slander and harassment and defamation and whatever other new words they've learned? If they dare to present a docudrama where someone might say something negative about their idol, let's be real. It isn't the case that they care about. It isn't their supposed idol that they're concerned about. They want to control the narrative because evidently there's some money to make.